Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Rich with Experiences. My name is Michelle, and we have another amazing episode for you. Today, our guest is going to share about their story and the importance of having life insurance, not only for you, but your family. But not only is she an entrepreneur, she's a huge Disney, amazing shopper, amazing traveler. She loves everything Disney, mom of three, an amazing wife. I would love to introduce today Richelle Gall. Hello, Richelle. How are you?
Hi, Michelle. So great to be on here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. So we know you love Disney. You've traveled 46 out of the 50 states.
Yes.
Okay, so some will say that you're an expert traveler. You're an expert at sharing the information about life insurance. You're a mom of three. But what do you consider yourself to be an expert in?
I would consider myself to be an expert in just loving people and connecting with them. I feel like so many people, especially when they get into business, they just want to, go chase that dollar. And for me, growing up, I had a lot of traumatic things that happened to me in my childhood. And I really feel like those things helped me connect with people on a deeper level. I mean, I've always been, that go-getter, leader, life person, but connecting with people, I feel like is my thing because the thing is there's so many different personalities. There's so many different types of people, and when you show someone that you genuinely care about them, they can usually feel that. And it's not even caring about them in their highs; it's also caring and accepting them in their lows, which I feel like makes all the difference.
Do you feel that that allows you, especially when you're speaking about money and speaking of things about life insurance and talking to people about the importance of having it, especially at the time of death? Do you feel that that is what really allows you to drive home that message? Is just loving people and knowing through your experience that it's important?
Yeah, I actually I heard this analogy. It was from my mentor, and she said, it's like you're on this ship, right? So there is 80% of the people on the ship are just passengers, right? They're just going for the ride, right? So there's 20% of those people that are, the people that are running the boat. They're the people that are operating it, making sure it goes the right way, making sure there's food, making sure there's entertainment, all those things, right? So there's 20%. There's only 4% of that ship is the people that are the leaders. Those are the people that are, making sure that everyone who is supposed to be doing something does their job. And those are the people that are also overseeing that those 80% are taken care of. And so that really impacted me because I'm like, you know what? Most people are in that 80%. They're just going on the ship of life, right? They're just going for the ride. They're just, trying to adult the best that they know how. And if they don't have somebody in that 4% to tell them, like, hey, so you need to kind of steer your course this way because these are the things they need to look out for. I mean, that 80% wouldn't even know it was there.
Now, did you always have this knowledge about financial literacy and the importance of insurance? Is that something that you were raised with, or was that something that you yourself had to go through your own experiences to get that knowledge and now you're sharing it with others?
So no, I grew up in a very poor household. I was actually raised in the Midwest, so I'm a Missouri girl. My parents actually though they met in the military in Japan. So we went from Japan to Michigan and then to Missouri, which is where we finally settled. But um, I am a multiracial person. So my dad is half black, half Puerto Rican, and then my mom is white. And so back in the 90s in the Midwest, it was not really as accepted. I feel like it still isn't. Those interracial, relationships. And so my dad had, I mean, there was times when he had 4 jobs just to provide for us after he left the military. And so him trying to find jobs that would pay the bills, was difficult. And so I saw him struggle and nobody told him. I mean, if he would have passed away at that point in my life, like I don't know what we probably would have done as a family because there wouldn't have been that. Money wasn't talked about, insurance wasn't talked about. My dad was always a hard worker, but it was more like just go to work and do the things. It was never taught this is why you need to do the things. And so yeah, I had to learn it all as an adult.
What happened in your life that made you like, "Oh, shoot, learning about this is important, like, it could affect me, it can impact me," like, what was it for you? I, um I didn't have the money conversation either. It was one of those things where it wasn't a kid's place. You didn't dare ask your parents about money if we had it, or they didn't even share about life insurance. I think the first time I heard about life insurance was when I joined the military, and the military gives you insurance, so I had to fill out the paperwork. I didn't even know what a beneficiary was. And they didn't, take time to explain it. It's just hurry up and fill out this paperwork. So what was it for you that made you say, this is important for me to not only apply it in my life, but help others do it too. I want others to be that 80%. Well,
Well,
I want to
so
tap into the 80%, I think I should say.
yeah, so with my dad, I mean, I feel like with him, he probably didn't even think about it because he was just worried about, putting food on the table, right? And so sometimes I feel like people just see it as another bill, right? Or they just, like you said, don't even think about it. So my thing was, so I started a job in sales, doing actually selling plywood, which is really weird now. And I ended up meeting my husband. We got married. I had my son, and came back from maternity leave and I got laid off. I worked half a day and they came in and said, "Hey, we need to have a meeting." Sat me down and said, "Hey, sales aren't up enough. You've been here the least amount of time. Goodbye. Go pack up your office." And I'm like, "What?" And so at that point, I got COBRA benefits, which COBRA benefits are medical benefits, dental benefits, and life insurance benefits that can last for however long on your severance package, right? So I didn't really think about it until I get this, letter in the mail. Hey, your COBRA benefits are ending. Your life insurance is ending. Blah blah blah. Well, at that point, I had, been on unemployment, and I was still kind of trying to hang out with my baby, which was awesome. But I was trying to figure out kind of what I needed to do, and it kind of hit me like, so if my husband died, I can't afford my house. Like, what would I do? Like, I, just got laid off from this job. I don't really know where the Lord is leading me right at this point. What do I do? And so I actually had my home and auto insurance through a State Farm office. And so I got on there and Googled. I'm a very much of a person who likes all the information. Like I do a lot of research. I want to know all the information, right? So I research and find out that State Farm offers life insurance. I would have never even thought about life insurance. It wasn't even on my radar really. I mean, it wasn't something that was talked about, right? I knew I was a beneficiary for my dad on his military life insurance, but that's about it. So I do my research and I go in there and I say, "Hey, this is the policy I want. This is how much our mortgage is, how much we owe on our mortgage. Here, write this policy up for me, right?" And they're like, "Whoa, like nobody comes in here and does this. You should work here." And I was like, "What? I don't know about that." And so anyway, so they talked me into working there. And so I ended up getting my licenses and yeah, that was where my journey really started.
That is amazing. So you took your love for people and then applied what you experienced in your life and then went into the Now tell us a little bit about the different types of insurances because I know that, we see the commercials and we see a lot of like Gerber life insurance and we see, a nationwide commercial. There's so many different types. You have term, IUL, all of these terminologies. Can you explain what they all mean?
Yeah, so life insurance is a little bit complex because what people don't think about is when you're really young, you're healthy, right? You don't have any health problems to worry about. Like the likelihood of you passing away at a young age is probably pretty low. It happens, whether it is, health wise or whether it's an accident. I mean, people die young, like it just happens. But most of the time, probably not going to. So for people who are young, life insurance is so, so affordable and you can get it. And that's one thing that people do not talk about. When you get older, a lot of times you cannot get life insurance. So when you're in a financial, position to where you're like, yeah, I want life insurance, sometimes you can't get it. And so
Mm.
starting out with a policy when you're young, and a lot of times people start out with terms. So there's a term policy, you pick a age limit basically. So 10-year, 15-year, 20-year, 30 years, usually pretty common. Unlike home and auto insurance, life insurance is pretty reasonable priced across the board. So it's not going to fluctuate, where it's, $50 more at this company versus this company. It's just not. Like it's all pretty even. It's all pretty the same. But the thing with term insurance is it's very cheap and it gives a lot of protection. Um, and then, as you get older, you can rewrite it and do different things with it, but at least gives that protection. So, like, one of the very first things that was like eye opening for me when I got into the industry was I was pretty young. I was 26. Yeah, 26. I hadn't had, I mean, I had some life happen to me, but like, I didn't have the adult experiences quite yet. I mean, I had some, but not all. And so, I had a have a really good friend, and she came to, the State Farm office that I was working at, and her husband had gotten into a little fender bender, and I said, "Oh, we need to look at your coverages." And I said, "Where's your life insurance?" "Well, I think that he might have some through work." And I said, "Well, what do you have?" And she said, "Well, I don't have any." And I'm like, "Well, is what he has, is it even enough?" And she goes, "I don't know." And so anyways, we ended up writing life insurance on both her and her husband, like that day. And so, 22 years old. So, 1 month later after this conversation, she got approved everything, and I mean, it's cheap, like, I wanna say she was paying, like, $12 or something for it, right? So, it's cheap, and she got into a major accident. She did Her and her husband both walked away, but, she actually killed 2 people with her vehicle, and so those 2 people did not walk away, like, sh you know and she didn't get into a car with the intention of, "I'm gonna cause an accident and I'm gonna kill 2 people today and possibly myself." But, like, life just happened, right? And that was, like, the huge eye opener because she came to me and she said, "I'm so glad that talked to me about this because, I'm 22 years old. It's not on my radar that I could have gotten to my car and I could have never came back out." And so it's those things. And she didn't at the time, she didn't even have any kids, but they just bought a house, so they had a mortgage to protect. And I mean, somebody's gonna end up having to pay that until the house is sold. They had car loans. Somebody's gonna have to deal with pick up the pieces when we're gone. And so it's just having those conversations, and it's so much more affordable than anybody would think. Like people think, oh, it's gonna cost me $100 a month. No, no. If you are young, $9, $10 a month could make the difference of your family who has to pick up the pieces.
So, how did it turn from getting laid off in 2016 and having that realization, if something happened to my husband, I'm going to be a mom with children and no income. Am I going to be able to even survive and take care of my children? To being curious, looking up State Farm, just being an employee, how did it go from that to building your own business, now having 6 people under you and being the powerhouse agency, receiving awards? And I always have a saying, I didn't choose to be a life coach. Life just chose this path for me. But what was your transition and journey from just being that employee to now being this person who is the head of their own company?
I really think it was obviously it was life circumstances. Like I really feel like God pushed me in directions that I would have never thought I would go. Um, I there's no business owners in my family. I'm the first entrepreneur. Actually, when I looked at taking this opportunity 7 years ago, my dad was trying to talk me out of it. My friends were trying to talk me out of it. They're like, any business that you're going to start where you're commission only, that's terrifying. Like, you should go get a job where you have a set paycheck. Like, this is what I'm going to receive as far as income. And the thing is like when so I worked at State Farm. I only worked there for 8 months. And I thought, "Oh, I'm never going to sell insurance again." And the reason was because I mean they do so much production. I mean they really just do. And this particular agency, which I mean, I don't want to say anything negative about them, but this particular agency was a lot about selling a policy. And the thing with me is like I told you, I'm a relationship builder. Like I care about people. Like I really want to find out what is going to be good for you. What is good in your situation because it's not like this like one size fits all. Like we're puzzle pieces, right? Like we have all these different sizes that are going to fit
Absolutely,
different pieces, right?
absolutely.
And so I felt like it was like sell a policy, and that's just not. my personality. Like, I'm just not going to just sell you a policy to sell you a policy, because I want to be there. If something bad happens to you or your family, like, I want to be there and be able to say, I did the best that I could for you. And so, anyway, so I left there and I went to banking, which was really good because it helped me get comfortable talking about people's financial situation. Because, like, if you want to make somebody mad, mess with their money. That's what's going to make them mad. Because, I
Mhm.
mean, we all have bills to pay. Like, we all have livelihood. Like, we want to be able to sleep at night knowing that we're taken care of. So when you go messing with
Right.
people's money and you do bad, they ain't gonna like you. And so, being at the bank really helped me be able to dig deeper into people's financial pictures without them feeling like I'm prying. Because, like, when you come across genuine, like you care about them, they're going to feel it, right? If they feel like you're just asking them all these questions because you just want to know, or you just want to sell them something, it's
You're checking the
totally different.
boxes,
Yeah,
right?
let's just check this box.
Check this
Uh,
line, right.
yeah. And so, anyways, I feel like when people feel that, they know. And so I left banking because I had so many people coming into the bank because they wanted to talk to me about their insurance. They wanted me to give them advice on things. And I'm like, you have to go over there because I don't work there anymore. Like, I'm here at the bank. And so, I got the opportunity. I met an amazing woman. Her name is Gina, and she's been my mentor like the entire time I've been with Country. And she is a lot like me. She genuinely cares about people, and she's in leadership within the company. And so, as soon as I met her and I could feel how much she cared about, the people that she was hiring, I was like, oh my gosh, if everyone at Country Financial is like you, that's where I wanna be. And it has really given me the freedom to pick and choose, like, who do I want to work with? What is the type of person that I wanna work with? And honestly, it's not. I mean, some people might think, "Oh, you just want the people that have a lot of money." No, like, I want the people who are starting out in life. I wanna be able to get that 18-year-old kid who knows nothing about money, who knows nothing about insurance, who knows nothing about life, to be able to say, "Here, this is the roadmap that you need. These are the things that you need to put in place to protect your future."
Now, you mentioned about growing up poor in your household, and your parents and everyone was really discouraging you from even going into business for yourself and seeing this vision that you had for yourself. So, how were you able, with all of these no's and you shouldn't do this and discouraging words, how were you able to just like really dig deep into what you felt God was calling you to do and steer the course? What were some of the things that motivated you, and how did you handle that?
Well, so growing up, like, I feel like there was so many obstacles because it was like every time I turned around, like something, the shoe was dropping. And so at the time, I remember feeling very discouraged, like, why, keep going? Why not just like, stop? But I feel like all those moments in my life have made me have to work harder. So, like, I started a paper route when I was 10 years old, and I rode a bike and dropped off papers, and that was because I got tired of coming home and not having electricity, and that's pretty deep for a 10-year-old, you know? And so, sorry, um, and so knowing that those stages of my life, like, I did cheerleading, I paid for my own uniforms, I worked, and so I had to actually I sorry, I didn't have help going through college, and so I worked 3 jobs to pay for college, 'cause that was, like, my dad always pushed, like, "You need to go to college, you need to go to college," and so I went to college, and I worked hard to get through college. And the thing is, like, just because you have a degree does not make you successful, and that was one of the biggest things that I realized, like, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like, I was a person, I just wanted to get out of poverty, right? And I mean, the Midwest has a lot of backwards thinking on a lot of things. But, like, I knew I just needed to get out of there. I just knew I needed something else. And, being able to get out of there and to be able to travel and to be able to do things, like, my kids are never they're gonna have different struggles, but they're never gonna know the struggle of not having enough money. They're never gonna know the struggle of coming home and there's not enough food, or eating out of a can and not being able to heat it up because there's no electricity. They're just not gonna know that. They're gonna have different ones, like, they're gonna look back and they're gonna, have different things, but they're never gonna know that struggle. And so the biggest thing that I've been trying to put into them, you have to have compassion for people. Like, you have to. Like, not everyone has what you have. Not everyone is blessed the way that you are blessed. And knowing that you can help people in those situations to where you can help them overcome those financial obstacles. You can give them encouragement that they don't always have to be there. You don't always have to live there. You don't always have to be, and this is no offense on, government assistance, but you don't have to be on that government assistance. Like, you can get out of that situation. Like, you can build yourself no matter where you're starting, whether you're starting with a little bit or you're starting with a lot. You can build off of that and you can have whatever life that you want, you can have it.
I agree. And thank you for sharing that, and thank you for sharing that part of your story because there is a lot of us who have to go through that struggle. And out of embarrassment, probably never even speak about it. But you sharing that part and say, "You know what? Yeah, I got tired. I had to hustle." And I remember you were saying that, you're the first entrepreneur in your family. You've been doing this game since you even realized it was a game as a paper route. Having a paper route, you're your own business. I had a paper route as well. That's how I had to get my son through some of the sports because I didn't have the money. And the fact that you took the fire that you're like, "I'm not gonna allow this to be my story. I'm gonna work hard." And you allowed your love for people to say, "You know what? Now I wanna impact that 80% because I now see how it impacts us tremendously," is huge. And the fact that you said that you love to just follow it through from beginning to end, that you don't want people to feel like a number because in life, we oftentimes you go to the doctor, you go to your therapist, you go to buy a car, you go to the store, you go to the library. There's so many places where we just feel like we're not even seen or acknowledged. We're just a number. And the fact that you said that that is why you're like, I want to go into business for myself. Um, thank you. Because we need to have that encouragement to just take that one step. And when that step is maybe a toe step, that it has to be celebrated. What's on the agenda for you? Like where can people work with you? Because your passion, your knowledge, your expertise, I know that so many people who are listening is gonna say, I want to work with her. I love her story. I love how she really cares about everyone that she helps. So how can people work with you?
Well, I do have a Facebook page. You can look me up on there. You can message me through there. I also have a Country Financial page. I'm not licensed in every state. Country only does business in 13 states, but um, if you get on Country Financial website and you search Richelle Gall, you can message me because I have a pretty big network, and so if I try to group together people who I feel like are like me and have the same values as me. Because, like, if I can't help somebody, like, I want to be able to send them to somebody who's going to care as much as me to help them. And so, if you're out there and you're in a state that we're not in, like, I will find somebody in your state to help you who
So
you
I'm
can trust.
sorry if you don't get to work directly with Rochelle. It's okay. She does have an amazing network of amazing providers that would be just as lovely as she is. So, what would be advice from the business side? Because you work in sales, right? And I know one of the discouraging things about sales is the word no. So, how did you kind of work past no?
Well, you get really good at being a storyteller. People love stories. They like to hear your story. They want to be able to connect to you. And so for me, if I hear the word no, it's just no, not right now. Whether for whatever the reason is, like no, it's just not a good time. It doesn't mean no forever. And so because of having to overcome so much adversity at an early age, I feel like I am very good at, coming back to it later. Like, okay, so you said no, not right now, now what's up? Like, now where are we at? And so because I do care, and so, like, I've been with my own business for 7 years, and I've had a lot of clients pass away. some with life insurance, some without life insurance. And the thing is like we're gonna keep asking you because we care about you. Um, and we're gonna keep asking you till you say yes. And yeah,
So here's what we've learned thus far. So one, you can get life insurance. The younger you are, the sooner you get it, the better. So for those who are in their what's the youngest age that somebody can get insurance, or what do you
18.
suggest?
18. You
18?
can get a term policy at 18. There are ways to get child policies, which I highly recommend. Which you can get those at newborn ages, and those are forever policies. So you pay for it, and the child gets to keep it forever. The thing with those too is they also guarantee their insurability. So, like I said, sometimes as you age, things happen with your health that you can't control. Suddenly, you are not eligible for life insurance. So it protects the child that later on they can get that life insurance. Um,
Okay, so
Real quick
parents out
though,
there, listen to that. Parents out there, you can get insurance for your newborn babies that will not change as they age, because sometimes with medical conditions as you get older, you're not going to be eligible for some types of insurance. This is something that we need to listen to. This is something that if you share with people who are expecting, that is a game changer. And then 18 and up, insurance. If you're 18, you're registering to vote, look into also insurance, okay? These are conversations that need to be had. As parents, when we're getting our kids together, we're looking at, okay, what are your next steps? Are you going to college? Are you going into the military? Are you going to the job force? What is insurance? These are the conversations at that time to have, right? Do you feel that if we had these conversations and normalize it, what do you think the impact will be on well, we're in America, and I know that this is an international podcast, but what do you feel the impact would be, especially for us here in America, if we really prioritize insurance?
well, I feel like the world would be way more protected. I mean, there's so many GoFundMe accounts out there. And the thing is like, why are you going to have somebody go fund you? Go fund yourself. Like, take that pressure off your family. Like, it's not always going to happen, and we're not always going to pass away. But the thing, or within a young age. But the thing is like, there's only like, my dad always said there's only two things guaranteed, that you're going to die and you're going to have to pay taxes.
Absolutely.
Like,
I
those are
agree.
the two things. And so like, people are so willing to insure everything else. We insure our phones, we insure our houses, we insure our cars. Why would you not insure your life?
Really, really good point. I want to thank you so very much. Again, give us the business name and where you can, because I know you have a business website, so that we're going to say it out loud. Um, what is your business website?
So it is Country Financial, and it's Richelle Gall, Richelle. um so yeah, I'm licensed in Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Arizona, Missouri, Georgia. I feel like I'm probably forgetting a couple. So, anyways, but we're in 13 states. So, if you're in one of the 13 states that you see on there, I would get licensed just to help you. So, if I'm not
Awesome.
already in that state.
You guys heard it here. I want to thank you so much, and everyone here that has been with us with Rich with Experiences. My name is Michelle. I have a company called Life After Loss Academy where I help you permanently heal from trauma that you've experienced. This was such a great episode because understanding financial literacy, understanding the importance of having life insurance so that way we can alleviate some of the burdens that we may leave on our loved ones when we leave this earth. Because I agree. I also had the saying growing up, there's only a couple of things that you are guaranteed to experience, and that is death and taxes. So if we can educate ourselves to really just be smarter with the money that we have to make sure that we are protected and our loved ones are protected, it is well worth the conversation. If you're interested in learning more about my program and how you can heal trauma that you've experienced so you can remove those roadblocks so you can be aligned with your authentic self, please go to michellehoughton.com and you can click the link so you can set up an appointment, an empowering call with me so you can get more details about the program specifically. And I want to thank you for being with us. And remember, like I say, you have to love yourself through discovery and healing. Because as you discover more when you go through this healing journey and you reflect on things that you thought you might have known, you're going to learn some things that you did not. and you need to love yourself through all of those steps because it's going to look different at different times. But it's your healing journey, and I want to commend you for being on it. I want to say I love you and thank you again for being with us at Rich with Experiences. Have a great day.